Welcome everyone. My name is Kateryna Boichenko from Web2Learn, and I'll be moderating today's session. And I'm very happy to be here together with Kateryna Juru, the director of Web2Learn and the driving force behind the Oyster project, and with Stefania Oikonomou, who supports our communication and coordination with great care and creativity. And let's start this dialogue together. Cameras on or off, your choice, but minds open and questions ready. So why we are here? To reflect on how AI can be used ethically to protect cultural heritage, especially in Ukraine, where heritage is at risk. And this is more than technical challenge. It's about identity, trust, and responsibility. And we invite you to consider how can we train students, professionals, and communities to use AI ethically. And does working in a conflict zone change the ethical rules or highlight them even more? AI doesn't decide for us, people do. That's why ethical education matters. And here's our plan for today, short and simple. We'll start with an introduction to the Oyster project. Then we will meet our speakers, and then we will have two key themes: deep ethical dilemmas and ethics in action. And finally, we open the floor for your questions. Sorry, and this is not a lecture. It's a shared conversation, so feel free to engage. And it's a shared conversation where your voice matters. And first of all, let's warm up with a simple question, but one that says a lot. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you combine AI and culture heritage? Not right, no right or wrong answers can be here, just your first association, a word, a thought, or a feeling. And please go to Mentimeter and I will share now with you a link to the Mentimeter, so you can just click on it in the chat. 1 second, please. And then I will share with you all your responses, and we will see your associations. Please switch off your microphone. Somebody is talking. Please mute your microphone. Yes, thank you. So let's see. We can see here more responses. And I'm curious what it will be: preservation, danger, or Indiana Jones with a laptop. Let's see what we co-create in our shared word cloud. Adaptation of culture, heritage to the present, challenging. Yes, problematic. We can see that you are very interested in ethics and this issue. Yes. So we can see here knowledge from your laptop. Great. We hope you will know more today from our distinguished speakers, from our panelists. Okay. So let's continue our presentation. Oh, we see virtual museums should be human-centered knowledge. Okay, let's move on because we are limited of time. And now I will share with you just a little introduction to our project. So let me introduce it. It's not about AI and not just about heritage. It's about how we as universities, citizens, and educators respond when identity is at risk. And the aim to help European universities use AI in ways that support people, not just processes, to foster citizen participation, especially in emergencies like war. And we also want to build bridges between sectors, countries, and values. And innovation matters, but ethics matters more. And who we do work with within ASTER. First, students in higher education. They are the next generation of culture guardians. Second, university staff, the ones shaping the future through teaching, outreach, and research. And the third, researchers, of course, because evidence, insight, and questioning are the heart of ethics. And we don't just talk to them, we listen and we co-create as we do today. And who makes all this possible? Let's give credit to our amazing partners. 5 partners, 5 countries, one shared goal, ethical protection on culture identity, and powered by people and technology. And let's have a quick sense of who is in the room. Let's get to know each other, and we would like to know who you are, from which spheres you are. So let's do it one more time in Mentimeter. So you can scan QR code, or I will share with you now the link as previous time. And we will know what best describes your professional background. So let's see your responses in live. It's interesting to know who you are. And of course, you can click on the link in the chat or scan the QR code, and this helps us to tailor our conversation. Are we mostly heritage professionals or tech experts or ethics or educators? We expect to see a mix, which is great. And of course, the diversity means rich discussion and multiple perspectives. Let's see who we are and how we think together. So that's great. We have culture heritage representatives. We have public policy and civic engagement, artificial intelligence and technology. Please be more active. We would like to know more about our audience. The majority, we have education and training, yes. We have 8 persons voting for the educating and training. Okay, So we have a great mix, and let's continue our our journey. So we will back to our panelists. And let me warmly introduce our first panelist, Dr. Kamila Oles from the University of St. Andrews in the United Kingdom. Kamila is an art historian and archaeologist specializing in interactive and accessible exhibition design, as well as digital approaches to curating, documenting, preserving, and researching monuments and museum collections. And we are thrilled to have your perspective on ethical innovation in action, Kamila. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Kateryna, for the invitation. Hello, everybody. It's so nice to see you all here. As Kateryna mentioned, I'm Kamila Oles, a lecturer in art history at the University of St. Andrews, so best wishes from Scotland. My work here mainly focuses on using digital and AI methods to document heritage, support inclusive storytelling, and design immersive exhibitions with communities, especially with communities associated to various post-war narratives and the concept of inherited trauma. So we've been tracking down inherited trauma together with, for example, School of Psychology in visual language of art and heritage related to war period. At the University of St. Andrews, I have also co-developed the first, UK's first fully online MLIT digital art history program in collaboration with fantastic colleagues from the School of Computer Science. I also developed and delivered a CPD, which means a Career Professional Development course, Navigating AI in the GLAM sector. And I also teach students how to use AI tools like image recognition, AI 3D reconstruction of missing objects or inaccessible objects to create exhibitions, and to how to apply digital scholarship for rigorous art history research. I also collaborate with underfunded museums, heritage institutions. So I usually help them to use AI, open source, accessible software to either powered translation, for content generation, website development or creation and then development to enhance under-budget institutions' online presence. I also work on the collection databases. So I use, together with my student, AI, so they don't have to work with Excel formulas anymore to clean data, to standardize names, correcting typos. So it also helps to save a huge amount of money, right? And execute work in a quite short period of time. Speaking of, next slide, please. Thank you. Perfect. So speaking of ethical use of AI, as one of examples, based on one of the examples from my practice, I would like to share the story from my collaboration with National Park of America on the very interesting exhibit called Footsteps to Freedom. So I worked with one of the earliest surviving American Civil War photographs depicting the lives of African American soldiers stationed at Camp Nelson Depot in Kentucky. Now this is US National Monument. And I used AI tools to enhance the quality of these fragile images. You can imagine, those images from the American Civil War period. Beginnings of photography in general as a discipline. So one of the greatest challenge lay in representing the experiences of the women and children, often family members of African American soldiers who had sought refuge at Camp Nelson, but their presence is largely absent in the visual record, despite the fact that many of them were forcibly expelled from the camp during a brutal winter night leading to humanitarian tragedy. And obviously, these stories remain contested and underrepresented in official narratives. So the ethical dilemma arose when AI made technically possible to generate historically convincing images of these women and children, right? Reconstructing scenes in the aesthetic similar to the Camp Nelson Photographic Archive collection, that would be something fantastic to do. But on the surface, this seemed like a powerful way to visualize and honor their experiences, this woman, forgotten women and children. However, such reconstructions risk becoming deeply problematic in the long term, and you probably know why. So the main concern was that once published online or shared over time, the paradata and metadata that distinguish these AI-generated images from original historical photographs could be lost, right? Misunderstood or overlooked by public. So as a result, these reconstructions could circulate as authentic evidence, right? One day, potentially misleading future audiences and distorting the historical record. So this would undermine the very purpose of the exhibit, right? Which was to bring visibility and ethical sensitivity to stories of those who were previously silenced. So in the end, we decided to use generative AI to fabricate photographic scenes, but only in the style you can see on the slide. So, for example, we used symbolic arrangement of green tones for human figures representing ghosts of past, future, hope, reconciliation, while working with dark heritage concept. And we aim to honor absent voices without misleading the audience about what was historical evidence and what was interpretive reconstruction. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very impressive experience, really. Thank you, Kamila. And we're pleased to welcome Dr. Kateryna Kotsiubivska, representative of the Ministry of Social Policy of Ukraine. She brings a unique perspective, bridging social policy, technology, and culture heritage. So please, Kateryna, the floor is yours.
Hello, dear all. Hello, dear friends. My name is Kateryna Kotsiubivska. Really, I'm education manager in the Ministry of Social Policy of Ukraine, PhD in technical science, but more than 20 years, I was at the university lecture. So I'm from education and I'm also a member of Europeana. I saw our organization in partners. And Europeana, this is the place where I found my passion for combining technology and culture. It's amazing, and I'm excited about this. And now when I listen to Kamila, I heard this passion as well. So it's very, very nice, and I really like it. So about our researchers, about what I'm doing now. For a while, I'm just reading about new technologies, but it's very excited because I have no time for work, but little by little, I'm coming back to the Europeana research, and it's. I hope that I will start new projects with Europeana. And since the war started in Ukraine, our university colleagues and me, we are joined to the Sucha project. This is the next slide, please. Kateryna, next slide. Yes, Sucha project, this saving Ukrainian cultural heritage online. In that project, our colleagues from Europe, they saved all information about Ukrainian museums, about Ukrainian websites, museums websites, sites. And all of that now are saved on European and world servers, and we can restore this from there, because a lot of Ukrainian servers were destroyed. So we have no access for Ukrainian servers, but we have this all resource in our servers in the world. And later we launched our own initiative. It was calls a creative resistance. And now we have a big digital collection of art works of our university students. After my speech, I will send all links in our chat that you will see everything of this. So we have a big collection of students' artworks, and it was possible thanks to one of our lecture of our professor. She is a member of the Ukrainian organization Bali, and they create an application for create digital collection. This application is DC Visual, and it's application for create metadata for everything, metadata, and to create pictures, images, and to make a lot of collection. You can see it in links. I will send you links. And of course, I want to say about AI in Sucho project, AI in our projects. It's this technology not only to recreate individual artworks, but also to enable a systematic analysis of large volumes of cultural heritage data. And I want to say about project Backup Ukraine, that it initialized by UNESCO and startup Polycom. That's about the studies, because this Polycom startup, it's the application which help us to create 3D models from 2D pictures. And it's very useful for create any digital collection in our situation, in situation when sometimes we have no big tools, big equipment for create any models, for create 2D models, for create a digital collection. I think that's all about me. So
thank you so much. Amazing examples, amazing experience. Thank you so much, Kateryna. And we move to our next panelist, and is truly a powerful house in tech and social innovation. Oleksandr Krakovetskyi, co-founder of DevRain in Ukraine. So ethics, tech, and purpose all in one person. And we are honored to have you with us today, Oleksandr. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Kateryna. Can we move to the next slide? So yeah, my name is Oleksandr. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DevRain. This is the software development company that works in a field of cloud and AI. I personally started my journey with artificial intelligence 20 years ago in a university, and I owned a PhD in computer science. So my work was closely connected to artificial intelligence. So I work as a software developer, as a data scientist, and yeah, I worked for a decade with the artificial intelligence. Also, I'm a co-founder of and CTO of Donorier. This is the platform for blood donors, and we popularize blood donation. So we help our army and civilians to survive. So if you a blood donor or you would like to do it, so you can register on Donor.ua and we can help Ukrainians together. I own a couple of awards from Microsoft, like Microsoft Regional Director, Microsoft Most Valuable Professional in AI, Microsoft Certified Trainer, and as you understood, I'm closely work with Microsoft, and DevRain actually is a Microsoft partner. So we work in the field of data and AI and help in leveraging AI and generative AI into businesses and not only. When the boom of generative AI happened 2 years ago, I also started working as a public lecturer explaining how AI works. And you can see my free training course on a Prometheus, which is the starting working with a ChatGPT. And also you can see my book, which is ChatGPT, DALL-E, and Midjourney, how generative AI changes the world. Here you can see the QR code, so you will see all the links to these artifacts. Can we move to the next slide? So as an AI expert and public speaker, I working on different initiatives. First, I also work at a university and teach generative AI, cloud computing in a couple of universities. As a part of working group with Ministry of Digital Transformation, we work on the recommendations of how to properly use artificial intelligence in different areas, so we can have a AI dictionary. We have these recommendations for leveraging AI in high education. Also, I participated in a couple events connected to cultural heritage, explaining how to use artificial intelligence in this area. And at the right, you can see, without the cover of the book, but this is my new book, about large language models, about prompt engineering and agents, and it will be published in upcoming weeks. So I work with a diverse audience, from children to CEO of the companies, explaining how to use artificial intelligence, how we can use it, where it not needed, and of course, all the questions connected with ethics, responsible AI, leveraging AI, and everything connected to this area. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Oleksandr. I would like to mention a very important thing about your donors company. 20,000 people joining this company. Amazing numbers. So thank you so much for all that you do for our country. And our next speaker is Mariana Ziku from Web2Learn in Greece. Mariana specializes in data analytics and digital heritage management with a long-standing focus on the field of intangible cultural heritage and strong commitment to participatory methodologies and open science. And we are very glad to have you with us today to share that inclusive perspective. Mariana, the floor is yours here.
Thank you so much, Kateryna, for this kind invitation. And it is actually a great honor to be among such esteemed speakers. I hope I can also contribute to the discussion meaningfully. So I'm a PhD candidate and member of the Intelligence and Interaction Research Group at the Department of Cultural Technology and Communication in the University of the Aegean. And I'm a long-term collaborator, as said, in at Web2Learn, where I apply computational methods. My path started actually many years ago, probably a decade, when I started to can try to write a historiography about the beginning in the mid-80s of art theory, a kind of historiography of art theory and artificial intelligence in Greece throughout a book publication that is now sold out, but it will be republished with an edited text and several other contributions. And this was a conscious eye publication of the artist polymath Polykazda, together with the prologue, the text by the former director of one of the prestigious institutions in Greece regarding informatics, Ioannis Kondos. So from then I started embarking on several projects, European and national-wide projects, the Artificial Intelligence Lab, which was a Creative Europe Lab, Creative Europe program. It resulted in a book publication called Archives in Transit, from the World of Libraries to Artificial Intelligence. And there is also the link to the publication. It's a bilingual one in Greek and English. Then moving with another project, a national project on smart recommendations of tourist activities with techniques of knowledge mining. And of course, as a research collaborator and a developer of the methodology for the data analytics in our ISTER. And then we can also move to our next slide, where in ISTER, we found a fertile ground really to develop a methodology for analyzing projects that employ artificial intelligence with human participation, public participation, its engagement in cultural heritage emergency settings. So for this, we try to map typologies, tools, and other classifications and frameworks for trying to actually do a quantitative analysis on artificial intelligence ethics that were applied, and then gathering all this data, mapping them, and going through hundreds of mappings through these typologies. We went to perform an exploratory data analysis, trying to identify patterns, trends, and of course, one of the core criteria for our selection of the projects that have been analyzed was the incorporation of the citizen engagement aspect. So for this, I would say that many important patterns can be identified. Many of the methodology, we found out that many typologies and certain, let's say, classifications and other types of tools to categorize categorize ethics and on AI, we found out that moving from principles to actually practical implementation requires also a lot of work. So sometimes many projects they are based on an ethical ground, but translating them and trying to create a working framework for implementing them can be especially challenging also in the cultural heritage domain, and possibly also in intangible heritage, which is a discussion that is recently taking off also by UNESCO with initial webinar and other discussions, also working documents, gray literature connected to it. So hopefully we can present some of our findings in the ISTER data analytics process.
Thank you, Mariana. Thank you all. So thank you, everyone. We now move on to the most important and most interesting part of our roundtable. Our theme number 1, deep ethical dilemmas. And you'll see a Mentimeter link in the chat. First of all, while you go to the Mentimeter, I would like to ask a few questions to our speakers, to our panelists. And first of all, I would like to ask Kamila, You design interactive exhibitions and they teach future heritage professionals. And of course, where do you draw the ethical line for AI in education and skills building?
Thank you, Kateryna, for that question, for raising that question. I think it's incredibly important. I probably should say that I don't know where I draw this line. No one really knows, especially at the university. But I think that I would like to talk even more broader, like about heritage sector and contribution of universities to the heritage sector. So I would say that the main ethical dilemma is in educating not only future generations of cultural heritage professionals, because it is still relatively easy than educating current professionals. So speaking of the first group, I would say that the best solution might be integrating AI-focused learning into museum studies, digital art history studies, right? So for example, in our digital art history program, our students combine art history, traditional art history, looking into digital art, for example, or digital scholarship with advanced computer science subjects, such as machine learning, data mining, programming. So students gain the skills necessary to operate in the future and in the digital age and digital transition. Obviously, the additional challenge we have as a university and in the university education is the current prohibition on students using AI for their marked assignments, right? So in the field of digital humanities, there's a growing debate about how to teach students to effectively use AI, particularly for tasks like, I don't know, prompt engineering in heritage studies, integrating generative AI into, for example, this Excel databases for assignments versus, and obviously how to distinguish this intellectual contribution of a student versus the role of AI. So while some solutions are emerging from the tech industry, the issue remains really unresolved within academic settings, as at least here in the UK. So the ethical concerns surrounding AI use in assessment, such as maintaining academic integrity, ensuring fair evaluation, and distinguishing between student effort and AI-generated content require a really careful consideration. And also speaking of the second group, I mentioned current heritage practitioners. I think that this group poses a distinct ethical challenge, as maybe you heard about the results of 2023 survey commissioned by the National Lottery Heritage Fund. This survey revealed deep concerns about the sector's preparedness, readiness for AI integration. So actually, according to that survey, while AI is reshaping numerous fields, only 65% of respondents from the GLAM sector, which stands for museum, galleries, libraries, and archives, had not yet considered its future role in their institutions, 65%. And even more strikingly, 40% lacked confidence in accessing training or resources related to AI, and only 7.2, I repeat, 7.2% felt very confident. So this stark knowledge gap raises fundamental ethical questions, right? How can we responsibly expect museum professionals, heritage professionals to engage with AI without first ensuring equitable access to education and training? But another problem is that it's not only about lack of accessibility to training sources. I think that this entire ethics dilemma deepens when we consider that despite the availability of excellent resources that were published in, for example, 2019, for example, artificial intelligence, digital heritage leadership briefing, or Arts and Humanities Research Council funded Museums Plus AI network planning tool. So these tools have not achieved sector-wide uptake, even though they were fully accessible. So the low resonance of these materials points to a wider ethical issue, I think. So the mere existence of resources does not really guarantee equitable understanding or application of AI. So yeah, I think that, I mean, I hope that our participants today will be happy to discuss this further, what to do.
Yeah, very interesting point. Thank you so much, Kamila. Okay, that's great. But we have a lot of other questions and dilemmas. So my next question is about provenance. Mariana, maybe provenance is your core topic. So how does AI threaten or strengthen provenance, and who becomes responsible when errors creep in?
Indeed, thank you, Kateryna, and maybe this can be also a connection with what Kamila said before, because certainly the provenance, so this means actually it could be geographical provenance, it can be any kind of a trace of a historical trace that an artifact may have left. So it is not usually disclosed. It is also connected with the concept of explainability, or also explicability that is mentioned in the various typologies, in various ethical AI typologies, like the typology by Morley, who provides us with 5 principles. Among them is also explicability, which means an emphasis in transparency. So there are different kind of dilemmas there, and all play on scenarios that may involve, for example, localized knowledge, or may involve communities that are bearers of certain cultural expressions. So if this information is not disclosed, and actually we are provided with let's say an AI narrative, a digital type of a digital storytelling, and there are some localized information, local-based information there, but on a very, let's say, on a very regional level, they cannot be traced back. Which are the source materials? What is the trustworthiness of these source materials? Are they taken from, let's say, scientific output, or are they taken from urban legend placed on different platforms, internet platforms, and user-created content? So based on that, we can also discuss this type of AI mass production, how and reproduction. So this is the key term here, actually, when it is done without a contextual grounding, it is creating a kind of a risky content, let's say. We don't know exactly how to handle this. It lacks of certain information, and based on that, one of the let's say one of the discussion a core element to discuss is, because there are certain protocols again, and the typology is applied, also principles like the care principles, for example, that stands for a collective benefit, authority to control, responsibility, and ethics. How can these be translated, practically translated in an AI landscape?
Yes, it's very important to know everything about this. So we have another question about tech issues for Oleksandr, because I'm sure that you, Oleksandr, have everyday AI tech actions. And in your view, which technical choices create the biggest moral risk for heritage projects, and how do you mitigate them?
Yeah, thank you. So I will start not with the ethical problem, but with the technical problem itself. It's a poor readiness of everything, of IT infrastructure, of people who work with technologies and with heritage. So that's the very big problem, because nobody were prepared for AI era. Yes, it's not a new area, it's not a new technology, and AI started in 16th of previous century, but still nobody prepared for AI, and that's the big problem. So now we need to quickly prepare for AI, make our infrastructure better, and educate ourselves first, and then educate other people. So that's the general issue. The second, which is more connected to ethical dilemmas of using AI, it's an appropriate use of AI. So sometimes we see, okay, ChatGPT or Midjourney, they can create great images, or this cool technology can convert our image to video. Wow, it's super cool. Let's do it. And the problem is that everybody can do this. And if we will use AI in the wrong way, it will be a very big epic fail, because people they want to have some connection to this heritage. It's about emotions, it's about history, and technology should not be on a first stage. Technology should assist us and help highlight some events, some emotions, etc. Um, and where is the border of that? That's the issue. That's the problem. Nobody knows, and we have a very big speed of development of technology. And from one side, it's very cool because we can do more and more in a seconds. But still, that's also an issue, an ethical dilemma, because the progress is too fast. We can't adopt very easy. And we try to use AI for different ways, for different cases, which is not appropriated, and it will last for seconds, for days, for months, and will have no effect on the heritage. So what we need to do is actually prepare our infrastructure. We need to educate ourselves and clearly understand where technology can be applied, where it's a good fit, where it's not a good fit. And third, we need to step back and think what technology will be just the intermediate, will have the intermediate effect, and which technology will be the foundation technology. So we need to define the specific tools, the specific use cases where we really can apply this. But still, what we need to understand, technology is applied. We should focus on heritage, on emotions, on saving this history connection, not about technology.
Thank you. Very clear and very impressive, really, your answer. And we have today here with us Kateryna, representative of policy branch. So it's interesting to know, Kateryna, you operate at policy level with heritage at risk in Ukraine. And when lives and assets are endangered, does urgency justify new AI shortcuts, or should ethics slow us down? What is your opinion?
I don't think that ethics is slowing down, because it's actually it's much more emotionally in such condition, but it's not in the bad means. So I want to say that actually it's always not so easy we have a lot of projects in AI, with AI to recover a lot of arts things, a lot of museums, heritage, and a lot of artworks of it's a painting, it's sculptures, it's even building because it's about architectures. But in our situation, in the situation of risk, we have another issue, and it's about tax. It's about unexpected situation, and I think that our people, even without digital skills, they try to save everything from museums, from churches, from everywhere. They tried to save it in nature. You know, they try to save things in their I don't know, in warehouses and with perspective to use it in museums later in future. But they have another problem. Then they are talking about create the digital collection. They have a problem in eastern part of Ukraine, in south part of Ukraine. There we have no internet connection, where a lot of people without digital tools. And in this case, I think the project Backup Ukraine with with application of Polycom, it's a good way to create some digital copy. But still, we are in risks. We tried to start project for create digital collection in eastern part of Ukraine, in museums, and I can tell you that when we ask some museums to tell us about their history, we have a lot responses in the paper. I mean, they wrote these histories in papers. No in even any digital document. So yes, we are in risk, but that's a first step, and that's very important now to explain people that even if our heritage, if any artworks will be destroyed, we can have any digital copy of this, even if it's photo, even if it's painting on the paper, we can restore it from the painting if it will be. So I think it's like this. The situation is like this because we
Yes,
have
it's very harmful. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I fully agree with you and other panelists that we need to learn and we need to teach, and in ethical manners. So I'm just sharing with you our Mentimeter, where our participants put their dilemmas that they think are very important for us. So how to use AI for this heritage correctly so that it doesn't harm it. Yes, it was talked about this problem of creating fakes, very important topic for Ukraine in our circumstances and situation. Use of personal information without proper consent, of course. Bias in training data, loss of human contextual interpretation, clear consent around use of digitalized personal or community materials. A sharp ethical dilemma lies in balancing the authenticity of cultural heritage and the use of artificial intelligence to reproduce it, which may distort historical truth. Of course, over-reliance on automated outputs risking loss of nuance, situated knowledge, critical interpretation, and one of the most acute ethical dilemmas in the use of AI for cultural heritage is indeed the problem of creating convincing fakes, which challenges the very notions of authenticity and trust and historic. Thank you so much, our participants, for your input into this discussion. And of course, we move on with our next theme. It is about responsibility. It is about our trustworthy and ethical. What matters most? And of course, we have Mentimeter here too. So let's start with a conversation, with discussion with our speakers. And of course, I would like, first of all, to ask Kamila, because let's begin from institutions. We finished with institutions with Kateryna, and then we will continue with it from your experience in educational from your experience in education and curating, how should cultural heritage institutions respond when adopting AI? What do you think? Or maybe other panelists can add few words.
So the question is to me or to other panelists? Sorry.
Yes, Kamila, I asked about your experience in education. Yes, how should cultural heritage institutions respond when adopting AI?
Well, actually, they have already, they've done it. They responded. So first institution that responded to AI's transformative potential was Smithsonian Institution. So as far as I remember, that was spring 2022, when the Smithsonian released its AI values statement. I would call that a very bold yet pragmatic step to harness AI for collection, description, analysis, visualization, and access, all this like good package. But crucially, the statement also acknowledged the biases and limitations inherent in AI tools, emphasizing obviously the need for critical reflection on how such systems are designed or deployed. But obviously our participants are totally aware of that. Is aware museum sector, International Council of Museum Committees, various committees, as well as Network of European Museums. During the conference in March 2024, they actually published 3 recommendations for AI implementation. So that might be also a good source of inspiration for our participants and for the discussion, how they would reply to the question you asked, Kateryna. So actually the NEMO organization announced that AI must be shaped proactively in the museum sector, not imposed externally. So museums should integrate AI in alignment with institutional missions rather than adapting themselves to technological trends. Another part of this statement was related to investment. That investment is obviously essential in infrastructure, skilled staff, as Oleksandr mentioned, equipment and high quality data. They are totally aware that effective use of AI depends on robust metadata, copyright clarity, and digital maturity, which is very missing element in this entire heritage mosaic and heritage infrastructure. They also emphasize that museum professionals must be equipped with new competencies to keep pace with AI advancements and respond to sector-specific needs. So this is like very tailored, very dedicated approach, not really commercial. And they also stated that institutional support should be expanded for initiatives such as cultural heritage data space and the European Collaborative Cultural Heritage Cloud. So these are the biggest European project nowadays. So obviously museums must relate to that and prepare their sector. So obviously they strongly recommended to foster cross-sector collaboration and scale innovation, practical understanding, not really focusing on what AI is, but and what AI can do, but also what it should do and under what conditions, right? But obviously, yeah, we need as a sector open software, but also a lot of upskilling and I think legal reinforcement. But European AI office has been actually established last year, and this office plays central role in enforcing the AI Act, right? Particularly in overseeing general purpose of AI models and ensuring compliance in public institutions. So this is very helpful. Unfortunately, here in UK, we don't have legal response yet. I would rather call it non-binding and very light touch response. So here, heritage sector tries to follow, various recommendations. But because there's like no law reinforcement, this upskilling that is absolutely necessary for implementing AI in the museum sector cannot be really reinforced. So institutions like museums, institutions, heritage institutions are not really forced to dedicate decent amount of money for upskilling people, their own professionals. So I would stop here.
Yeah, thank you. We can discuss for 1 hour for this topic. Really, it is very, very important for institutions and for students and for higher education institutions. And we are talking about students, educators, but also I would like to take point on citizen engagement. And why I want to ask Mariana, your work centers on participation, and how can citizen engagement be meaningfully included in ethical decision making around AI in heritage? What do you think?
Yes, thank you, Kateryna, for the question. It's interesting how all these topics that we raise, they somehow connect with each other. So actually, the citizen engagement can also be part of the discussion that we had earlier, also about provenance, also about other types of ways to technically involve participants as users through this human in the loop process. So based on that, I would say that going like human in the loop is actually creating a kind of human role that is prevalent in an AI system. So based on that, I would say that we can share an insight. We can share also a research, an insight from ISTER, from applying the typology for human in the loop, the human roles, the HITL, AI decision-making systems. So for that, there is the typology from Krotov-Kaminsky and Price that was developed in 2023, involves 9 possible human roles. And as we found out by analyzing almost 25 selected projects that employ AI and also citizen participation, most roles, most dimensions for human in the loop are corrective roles and accountability roles. So corrective role stands for humans that intervene to correct errors in system outputs. So this was one of the prevalent categories. And another one is the accountability roles, which is a kind of a responsibility role to enable decisions, let's say. Yeah, so these were 2 prevalent categories, and based on that, it is a matter also of understanding that even on a kind of on a higher level scale through the protocols, there are also a kind of a low level application of certain or development of certain infrastructures and being mindful of the development of these type of services among each institution. So this Pascal could mean, for example, that an institution takes into account that it offers their, let's say, their data and their collection through an API. They offer it, so they hand a service. It's a platform service, so they hand access to it. What we can do with this data, right? So in order to make it more, let's say, responsible or ethical, it could be a part of a terms of use or a kind of trying to understand kind of an access to this collection. What is allowed to AI training, for AI training purposes? What is allowed here? For example, what are the ways to, like the ethical ways or the responsible ways to do a web crawling? Because there are many databases and many infrastructures out there with data sets that it is also for us as researchers very, let's say, very tempting to do analysis. And sometimes, for now, we can scrape data, and we're wondering, do we really have a consent to that? And there are also other levels that add to that, because if we talk about this type of data, this data is usually collected, they are enriched through several processes. So when we talk about citizen engagement, it can be enriched through crowdsourcing. So there will be annotations there. So there will be new tags, new metadata created. So there should be a kind of a regulatory workflow that could also take into account these all kind of different sources to enrich data, not only by researchers, not only by crowdsourcing, but also crowdsourcing enabled by AI. That's also a dimension. So for sure, this is a long path, I can guess, to get this into an ethics in action for cultural institutions. But it's a very interesting one, even if for now it is a rhetoric question for many dimensions, because it's so difficult to regulate, but we're getting there. I think it's very interesting to see all this literature and all these protocols. And now, of course, one of the recent findings, the research that I was talking about, is also one I can share this through the chat. One report that surveys the digitization and artificial intelligence for archives and documentary heritage materials that was produced in kind of a study that is occupied with AI-assisted digitization. I can share it because it was very interesting. And based on that, because it says digitization, I wanted to also highlight that what Kateryna said before on the digitization, it is very important because large part of, we thought that this digitization process is something that has already been completed on a certain scale, but there is so much information still that is not being completed, and it is of an urgent digitalization, let's say, we have to think of it as a need for urgent digitalization or digitization. So yes, we go back and forth from high and tech to low tech and tech.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mariana, for your response, for your answer for this question. And unfortunately, we're lack of time, so we move to our last section. And I want to thank you, all our panelists, but we want to hear voice of our participants. If you have some questions, please raise your hand and you can ask our panelists questions that are interested you. Or you can tap this question in the chat. While you are thinking about your question, I would like to ask Oleksandr maybe to make some something like a little bit conclusion about, we know a regulation is evolving, but how effective are current ethical guidelines in real world AI development, and what gaps do you see in Ukraine in such a situation that we have?
Yeah, thank you for this question. Yeah, so I work a little bit with the regulations, as I said, in the Ministry of Digital Transformation, Ministry of Education. So what we're trying to do is actually to improve these regulations with some common sense. And of course, to do this, I need to be in, I need to research the same regulations around the world. So that's the interesting topic. And what I can say that almost all regulations that we have right now, they just very general. So they just say you need to use technology responsible. You need to be ethical. You don't need to use some bias or something like this. So it just the understandable things and very clear message. The question is how to achieve this. And for example, if a specific person that works in university or in museum or in any other organization, they just read, okay, you just need to be ethical. Okay, but what does it mean? And unfortunately, regulations don't explain it in details. Let me show it on example on universities. For example, you say, okay, you could use artificial intelligence if for in your work, but still, if I will translate my documents, is it a fair use or not? If I will generate some lab or make some research, is it ethical use or not? So there is no boundaries and there is no clear information about this. The second problem regarding regulations is that everybody tried to regulate it, and not a lot of people understand how it works in a nutshell from the technical perspective. And sometimes all these regulations are just stupid, to be honest. Just remember about these cookies and pop-ups on the websites. So you just go to any website on the internet and you see these pop-ups. Yes, you need to give a you need to accept using cookies, but cookie is the default technology when we interact with the web and internet and websites. If we will disable cookies, so nothing will be working. So this is the default technology. We can't regulate this. It should become, so we should forget this regulation, and we should make something more modern. And just imagine, we are talking about artificial intelligence, and we still click accept cookies. So that's the very big delay of how technology evolve and how people react with these regulations. So what I'm trying to have as a message is regulations can't be very strict because technology evolves very fast. If we are talking about some ethical usage, we still need to clearly define what is ethical. And also we should not ignore the progress, because right now we have a Japan startup. They developed a startup that actually can make a research, identify the problem, generate code, execute this code, write the paper, and this paper and the results of this research will be better than some humans can do. So that's the reality. It's not something that I'm talking about the future, about Black Mirror or something like this. It's just something that happens right now. And if we will still regulate, I don't know, generation of images, come on, it should be done 5 years ago, not right now. So what I'm trying to say is that regulations should be, because everybody should understand how to interact with AI, how to use AI, where is the boundaries, but we need to be more flexible on that. We don't hear you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your inspiring and thought-provoking exchange. And of course, I would like to thank all panelists for your contribution and your insights as panelists, as participants, and Mentimeter contributors show us that ethics is not a checkbox, it's a process, a practice, and a responsibility we share across borders, sectors, and generations. And this roundtable is part of the ASTER project. We explore how universities and citizens can shape ethical digital futures for culture heritage, even in times of crisis. And we thank you, our incredible panelists, for sharing their expertise, and you for engaging openly, critically, and ethically. And of course, let's keep this conversation going beyond the screen, beyond the project, because safeguarding heritage with AI is not just about the past, it's about the future we choose to build, I hope so, together. So thank you so much for your participation, and see you later on our next events, on our next roundtables.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kateryna.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you a lot.